Hello, hello, hello. Oh, what did I click here? Go away. I don't know what that was. I don't know what I clicked. I clicked on something. Hello, 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 everyone. Late start because I have been watching back-to-back videos on all kinds of different Grand Canyon things. There's a lot going on over there, right? So I have been taking a lot of notes. We have some pages of notes that we're going to look at. Going to open the discussion with just any personal experiences, family stories, wishes, thoughts, stories you heard, you know, all of that. I have found a bunch of stuff. I found a bunch of numbers, a bunch of dates. So I'm finding a bunch. So I am more than curious to see where all of it is going to end up at, how it ultimately plays out. Oh my goodness, I have got to get some bags. My tarot bags are just tearing up. Oh, yeah, we will have to. So, I did I started this morning. I'm not kidding you. Somewhere around 10:30 or so, maybe 11. Really diving into just people's channels that I follow that I actually trusted. So I started with like the Y files, and anything I could find on that he had for the Grand Canyon, stuff like that. Found a couple of different videos. Then there's a couple of other YouTube channels that I watch. They're like hikers and people that do extreme camping or um, just try to debunk stuff. So several hours into watching, um, I was on my third or fourth different channel, just really diving into their channel and anything that I could find that they had. And I started noticing individuals talking about some form of a hum, right? Um, Now, right as of right now, I've only found those three channels that go so deep into the hum that two of the three literally go to the place where it's supposedly you can feel it, but yet they can't tell you where that location is. They can't tell you how they got there. All they can tell you is that it took them months to map out a way to get to this location. And one of those two, I believe, found one of the locations where these hum sounds are, right? So he brought scientific toys with him that would have immediately debunked whether it was water dripping or residual sounds of water or wind or the falling of different rocks or boulders from different locations, higher locations, lower locations, because although at this point It's one of the lowest locations that he managed to sneak into. Now, all of this is according to them. Is it clickbait? I would hope not, because there's several million views. Ooh, I think my delivery is here, guys. I am expecting a delivery. Yay, I do believe this might be my delivery. So, um, the first dates I started finding were and by finding I do mean where like there's historical documents, right? So one of the first historical documents that are found, um, excuse me, is from 1851. I'll be right back. Okay. ATR. I will get to that when I'm done with this. Okay, so anyway, so 1851. And then there is again historical documents that have been viewed and found for 1873, 1879, 1888, 1893, 1901, and then the next ones from 1909 starts changing everything. From 1909 to 1911, there is a giant cover up and a butt shit fuck ton of conspiracies, theories, and cover up lies start. From what I can find, in 1901, a gentleman by the name of G.E. Kincaid, a known archaeologist, explorer, and adventurer that was hired by the Smithsonian to basically travel up a river into the deepest parts of the Grand Canyon. Um, it's said that he found bones, artifacts, and symbols that were made of bronze. Quite interesting. According to the cover up, it was copper, but he stated that it was tested by a S.A. Jordan, and in the Smithsonian testing, along with this professor, this S.A. Jordan, all of their findings prove that it was bronze and that it was older than at least 1 million years old. They found markings and hieroglyphs that were physically collected, approximately 109 truckloads of covered vehicles and I don't know, some form of covered wagon, maybe trailer pull something, and horses. Over 109 loads of artifacts was found. Some of these artifacts were found and dated from to be from Tibet, errors, and also there was pictographs along with the hieroglyphs and the bones and other things that were found. Um, Two unexplained or unnamed animals were also believed to be found. Right now, were they found in fossil form, bone form, or just the hieroglyphs or the petroglyphs? I'm not quite sure. It gets a little blurry right there, but it goes into the fact of one of these two is believed to be older than our known prehistoric animals. Not quite sure what that would mean. And the other one, it's not even named yet. They cannot tell if it's older than prehistoric. But one of them they can. So I would think that both of them would be older than prehistoric. But what do I know? Anyway, they found crypts with bones in it. They found cities. They found caves with what would have been not in 1900s modern ventilation systems. Now, if they are excavating it and finding it in 1851 and 1873 and 1879 and 1888 and 1893 and 1901 and 1909, the cover ups began, and from 1909 through 1911, just a huge amount of displaced information or lost artifacts or denial that it was even claimed, found, or confiscated. Somewhere in the hundreds of rooms and ruins that were found, they also found similar markings in southern Arizona by a Zuli tribe. The Zuli were maybe slightly older than the tribe that was currently living at one end of the river versus the Hopi and Denai or Navajo that was living on the other end, right? So you've got these three different types of Native Americans that are protecting kind of this grid triangle form that they have placed from the Arizona to California angle, right? So this one guy that I was watching, he says that some of the rock that was tested through geology, and apparently you can now officially through modern science test geology of stones now to see how old these stones are. So with them knowing that they can test these, they said that one particular type of stone was over a billion with a B years old. And then one of my team members said that there was at one point a ghost that crossed our path that was some form of a very old miner of some kind, right? And he would have lived in the early to mid 1800s. And apparently, he would have been on one of the teams that would have brought in supplies. Okay. And this ghost was telling Slim that they began suppressing history and changing it so that they wouldn't realize that the gold and silver had been stolen. And not just that, that they were stealing the natural water from the Grand Canyon. Now, at first, I didn't think much of that. Didn't think much of it. And then after a couple hours of sitting with it and sitting with videos and videos and videos and videos, I'm like, so where's the water going then? If they're looking at stated Google images of these canals that these individuals who I am not going to name their channel. I may come back later and tag the video, um, and put the channels that I watch. There's millions of views on the channel, so it's not like it isn't hard to find. Um, this one individual said that when he started mapping his descent, he mapped his descent for 2 years, and the descent was a 2-month descent that he would start at the north highest point, but he would end at the lowest southern point, and that the descend hike would take him just over 2 months. And as he climbed down the canyon through some incredible terrain, mind you, um, he found he found older establishments. He found things in rocks. He tried to look inside of them, but they weren't in the best of conditions, so he did not chance going inside of them. But you could see reflections of veins of some kind. And I guess he was an avid climber and hiker, and he was well aware, due to many caves that he had climbed and hiked through his many years of just traveling and doing adventures. Um, he knew what veins looked like. He said that he could see veins like gold, what he believed would have been gold or silver veins. Now, I'm not quite sure, but if he started mapping them in the early 90s, so 1988 to the early 1990s, and then he started his quest in 2004. He said that he started his like packing and training in 2004, right? So he mapped everything out, and he checked it all the time, and he made sure that the land hadn't changed, even though the land changed there quite often with the violent storms that happen there. He says somewhere in this 2 month descend, he says that he noticed drastic changes in where there should be specific hiking trails, game trails, or indigenous trails, that were documented by the Hopi, the Navajo, the Zuni, the Apache, and then the ones that even came before them, and they called them the Ant People because there are hieroglyphs of the Ant People. He said that it looked like the hieroglyphs showed the Ant People in these canals and walkways that should be underwater when he started mapping this just 10 years before. The amount in gallons per guesstimated average that Google was thinking was in these caverns was billions and billions and billions of gallons of natural water. By the time he got there, when he started his downward trek or whatever in 2011, he started training in 2004, and he started the trek in 2011. What he said is that there was no water, none. So where did billions of gallons of water go? I don't know what the scientific equation looks like. I don't know if it can evaporate that fast. I don't know if climate change can affect it. But that is definitely a very clear picture that the water went somewhere. If it didn't, um, you know, uh, evaporate, where did the water go? Well, apparently, some of these canals are hundreds of miles, and I mean like 300 and 400 kilometers, maybe. I think he said. So they would have all went underwater, and they would have all eventually been like underground as well. So he said that he tracked it through mapping, and he tracked it all the way to the Arizona California border. He said the only thing he can think of is that, and this is his words, not mine, is that California has found a way to steal the natural resource water from the Grand Canyon. And so at that point, I started noticing water. And now there are a few more videos that come in here, and it goes back to my team saying, well, that 115 showed up again. So, somewhere in the process of 115 years from 18, approximately 1851 to 115 years before that, something lived there that transformed into what we now believe are the quote unquote shapeshifters and possibly some of the Native American tribes that we know to live there. So I have questions. And some of those questions are, what did they mean by a silver canoe? What were those images of? Like, what are these? I clearly saw what was looked like um, in veins silver canoes. So, if these hieroglyphs are etched into veins of gold and silver, that has to be very specific meaning, right? So, they said that there is documents of and found temples for a Buddhist temple and a temple of Ra. They said that from 1911 on, there are bricked up places that were caves wide enough to operate a steam engine locomotive to drive through. Like, that's pretty damn big. They say that until 1980, wait a minute, I lost it. 1980 something. Oh my gosh. 1983, you could openly go and basically just fish or be on the river, right? Why can't you? What happened in 1983 that stopped full access to the river? Like, why don't we have full access to the river? I have that question. From 1994 to 1999, a survey tracker found a cave that had a Y shape, but yet now the cave is, what did they say? Missing. Um, 2011, in 2011, an archaeologist or an adventurer, it was a little tricky on if they were an actual archaeologist. I don't know. I couldn't find like documented evidence, but there was someone by the name of Strickland or Stryland. I'm not sure. Um, anyway, they found a missing map, right? So in 2011, when this missing map was found, it was found with the date of, hold on, that was found or believed to be just over 4 million years old, and the map looked like this. So I kind of etched out just a really rough copy of what the map looked like. It would have been a whole bunch of tunnels all back and through here. This over here would have been a crypt, and then down through here would have been like bedrooms or rooms or chambers of some kind. I'm not quite sure. But it said that there was evidence in the crypt of almost 50,000 mummified bodies. from 4 something million years ago. Well, that would make them older than Egyptian. So, anyway, I had an absolute blast going down the conspiracy rabbit hole of the Grand Canyon. So, I am going to look at the chat now after talking for 25 minutes and see what you guys have said. Let's see. What do we got here? Chloe Saturday. What am I? I see. I missed something. What I miss? Let me get in the chat here. Let me go all the way to the top. Okay. Hello, everybody that is here. Most of the Grand Canyon is off limits. Unboxing. Mousy. Angie. Sorry about that. What's up, John? What's going on? Okay. Making mental note. Chloe will be. Also, Josh says Chloe will be on a live on my channel Saturday. With her bank account emptying. Okay. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So yeah, I found a lot of like safety and worrying about like collapsing cave tunnels, and then a lot of shit they kept saying was possibly underwater. Where's the water at? This couple of channels I went to, they said that they were told by every park ranger and every spokesperson that they could talk to for specifically where they wanted to hike, it was completely submerged underwater. The amounts of water they found on their descent barely kept them alive. There's no way it supplied a population. Not a population. If they found a crypt with 50,000 plus mummified, that is a giant population. There's got to be evidence of it. I don't know. There's got to be evidence of it. Right? So anyway, so this is a channel donation. I believe this is from Brother Thomas. It is, yes, it is cheat sheets and more stickers that I can put in love boxes, because y'all know I love putting stickers in love boxes. But it's cheat sheets, so that I don't always have to get the shadow version, you know. And then he got me some contact paper, so that I can stop scratching up my desk, because I'm terribly scratching up my desk. So that will be my afternoon project. To do this. So unboxing complete. We slide. Missed the whole bed. Don't know how I missed the whole bed. All right. So, do we want to open the spirit box to anything possibly, or do we just want to leave it open to talk? But yeah, a lot of what I have picked up on is the water safety, or, submerged underwater, but yet doesn't seem to be enough water supply to keep that, it says, substantial. So I don't know why I grabbed this deck. A habit to grab this deck. What's up, Tina? Habit, habit, habit. Maybe this weekend, if I get a little couple dollars, I will maybe get some fabric and make me a couple of bags because I definitely need some more bags. Need some bags, bags. First one needs a bag is this big beautiful guy. He needs a bag so I can give Michelle back hers. Okay. All right. So I don't know how these cards will read with conspiracy, so let's just see how they read with conspiracy, right? It's all about fun, and conspiracy theories are fun for me. I love good conspiracy conversations, so. Oh, yeah, it definitely have to be quite large. It would have to be a large bag. I mean, come on now. Look at the makeup bag that Mo lets me use. So yeah, I'm thinking it had to at least be makeup bag size. Maybe I'll find me a dragonfly bag or something. Well, no, because yeah, I would enjoy a dragonfly bag. Okay. So we might have to think outside of the box here, right? So what are we looking at here? So if I'm just looking at the cards that fell just to see where my deck is at with conspiracy theories, I get two or more versions, which obviously is the kind of the definition of a conspiracy theory, right? It was when you have more than one outlook, more than one definition. Um, Maybe sometimes historical facts or proof. Also, there's clearly usually more than one, right? So the other cards that fell out was motive or control over dominion. Hmm. I do like that. And then privilege fell with it. And of course, it fell with one of my gorgeous, beautiful skeleton keys. I've never had one like that. That's a pretty beautiful one. But anyway, so we have privilege falling out with motive or control over dominion. And then we have obviously targeted victim, but it's in reverse. Like there's not one victim, right? If they lock the truth away, there's many victims, not just one targeted. There's many blind victims that maybe don't understand it. And then we also get suffocation in reverse. So when you think about what is this representing, it could clearly be saying that they're suffocating the truth. So it's a bit of a stretch to play on it, but what the fuck was that? Did you? What the fuck? Oh, let's see what else falls out. I can't even pick the deck up, and I have large hands, and I can't even pick it all up. All right, here we go. What's this one? Liar, liar, pants on fire. The writing on the wall. Wow. Liar, liar. Liar, liar, lies. Lying in wait. Clearly goes right up the alley with the control factor and the privilege being the key holder to the truth and also to the evidence and possibly the location and maybe possibly hundreds, if not thousands, of artifacts and historical documents and possibly rooms of gold and silver. That was still in there too. You know what I'm saying? So suppressed, right? So it says news media and press, right? But it I picked it up in reverse. So when it fell, it was in reverse. So it would have been like this. So they're stopping access for the press, for the news media. They're not giving access whatsoever. So that makes a lot of sense too. So, I mean, in theory, this deck isn't doing too bad for conspiracy theories. So let's just keep on looking here. What else are we going to get? Come on, get in there. Get in there. The video jump. Hey, brother. So now remember, the Smithsonian hired these archaeologists and these adventurers, right? So it does say hired help. So I did find, like I said, where AJ from the Y Files did a lot of homework, and he was able to literally find documented evidence of G.E. Kincaid, all of the Kincaid caves, and the giant cover up that started. Now, like I said, from what AJ was able to backtrack and fact check, he was able to get it all the way back to 1851, tied to G.E. Kincaid, and that in 1901, from 1851 to 1901, when they brought in Professor S.A. Jordan off the books. He didn't go on the books or on record until 1909, and then the giant conspiracy theory started from 1909 through 1911, in which there are a bunch of things that tie to war and also a boom for money. America comes into a butt shit fuck ton of money in 1911, when apparently farmers and homesteaders and different people turned to the government for help, for whatever reason. They were denied due to there being insufficient funding for America. Well, there is a lot of crazy shit, but there is a lot of money, a lot wandering in the artifacts of all of the missing. And then the bones, like the giant bones. If 55 mummified beings were found, where did all of that go? Where did they go? Folding hot clothes. Ooh, laundry. So I don't know. Have any of you guys ever been to the Grand Canyon? Strictly out of curiosity. Janet. Yeah, so there was another story that really stood out to me. Let me see, where were we? Okay. Oh, okay. So when was this one? This was in so in 1901, okay? So this is again that little tricky part from 1901 to 1909 where things were found and documented, handed over to the Smithsonian, and then they have ever disappeared. There was a declassified document found with the initials of G.E. Kincaid. Name? No. Initials? Yes. It said confidential due to non-recovery of diffusionism, diffusionism. This is cultural traits, ideas, and innovations and technologies, religions, and arts through origin points and cultures in contact, physical contact, right? Through trade, war, and independent invention and travel. If all of that was made, then why is it classified? Why is it not documented in public forum? And why is there a conspiracy theory? Because it's listed as this, but yet it's not. It's lies, it's hidden, and it is not this diffusionism at all. It's the exact opposite. And I'm not sure what that word is, but I have a feeling that there is a word that means the opposite of this. And that's probably exactly what is going on instead of this that should be going on. So, anyway, you can find the documented information that's so oh yeah, there's some kind of stone structure from 1963. There was a cover up again in 1963 about a stone structure. Or no, I'm sorry. It was found in 1979. It was dated to 1863, and then the cover up was in 1984 that it was never found. And the 1863 is would be the 10-year gap between here that I found quite odd. Like there's these weird 10-year gaps or 11-year gaps. But anyway, so there's that one, right? So you've got this one down here. Like I said, they found it in 1979. And then through excavating it, it was tested, believed to be from 1863. And then in 1984, it was deemed classified. And who were the desert Arakis? Who are the desert Arakis? I can't figure that out either because every time I go to look it up, Google tells me I have misspelt it. I don't know what I'm talking about. And again, it was written on documented government paper between G.E. Kincaid, the Smithsonian, this professor, what was the professor's name? S.A. Jordan, and then redacted, classified, and then obviously lost. So, and some craziness also on some years, some people, like historic people, went missing, right? So the Hyde family, quite a large and obviously somewhat famous family at that time for their time. They had something to do with some form of tension lines while they were traveling and making their way right across America. So their boat was found. The husband was never found, but yet 2 to 5 years, timing is a little wonky here, goes by, and some white rapid river people, sailor I don't know, tubers, whatever you call them, white water rafters, were going down the river at some point, and a woman stops them, and she says that her name is Georgie Clark. Well, some years go by after they have a few weeks with this woman that they rescue and bring out of the canyon. Um, when she dies, they go through her home, which isn't too far from the Grand Canyon. Um, they find all kinds of paperwork and all kinds of documents, including a marriage certificate that would have had her the wife to the Hyde family. It listed her as Betsy Hyde, not Georgie Clark. So it's believed that she killed her husband, left and staged the boat so that it would look like the family just disappeared. And or possibly that the husband would have killed the wife and then disappeared himself. But it turns out that it might have been the opposite way. Right now, there are still friends searching for Floyd Roberts, who went missing on a group hike and got separated from his friends. So, my team is advocately searching to see if we can pick up on anything for him, for a John Wesley Powell and a Cyrus Thomas. Um, we are also looking for possible evidence. Although there was a deathbed confession made, um, there is believed to be evidence from Robert Spangler on the way that he possibly, even though he did do a deathbed confession and ultimately did go to prison and died in prison from stage 4 lung cancer, he killed his wife Donna, and during admitting the deathbed confession, he owned up and gave ownership and confession to killing his first wife and all of his children. And he would have killed his third wife had she not divorced him a year prior to when he was scheduled in his head to take her life. And apparently, he took all of his wife's life and children's life. So, two wives and I believe three children from the first marriage. So, five individuals lost their life to him, all in the Grand Canyon. Um, he claimed in the deathbed confession that something older than the Hoppy possessed him. He referred to it as a shapeshifter, demonic ant. It was quite interesting the way you could hear his. Literally, he can't breathe because he's dying of stage 4 double quad or something, double lung, stage 4 lung cancer. Um, and all 4 of his quads. So you can't really hear his words that he's confessing to. But you hear the satanic way that he kind of chuckles. It's I think it's just that I was a former psycho and I used to have that damn, I think they call it the Capricorn cackle, that psycho laugh. Yeah, I used to have that weird ass cackle. So yeah, he referred to them as ant like in appearance. Um, 6 legs or arms. He wasn't sure if they were considered arms or legs. There was 6 of them. There was 3 body torso areas, a top, middle, and bottom, and that they could shapeshift into bipedal creatures with just ant heads. I don't know. Some of his confessions seemed like maybe a little too much peyote or ayahuasca, but I'm sure he was on some pretty good pain medicine. But anyway, he did confess to killing both of his wives, and I do believe all 3 of his children. 2 of the 3 of his children were identical twin boys. So I'm really curious, like, what all there is. Like, is there really shapeshifters going on there? Is there, like, so Mo and I, hopefully, we're not sure when, but we would like to start planning a trip to the West Coast, right? So, with Mo being born and raised on the West Coast, it's a time and a chance for her to go home and visit with family and friends that she hasn't seen for several years now. And it's also an opportunity for me to get to see the West Coast. I've been all over the East, the Middle, the South, never been to the West Coast, right? The Grand Canyon is one place I've always wanted to go to, but it's more for what they say we're not allowed to do. It's like, why aren't we allowed to? Like, if it's National Historic Park, why can't we get to it? Or why can't we have access to all of it? I want to feel the ground. I want to feel the history. I want to talk to the ghosts that are actually there. I want to physically talk to them. I want to talk to the spiritual people that may be there, the ancestors that could still be there. I heard something about the indigenous speaking about underground ant people. So I did I so one of the videos that I watched, and I ended up watching, I don't even know. I mean, if I turn my TV back on, it's probably just gonna pop back more. I'm on brain overload from all of the videos, right? So in one of the videos, they said that just under 8 billion years ago, there are fossils that were found, right? And those fossils were found, hold on, um, it's a very specific place. So it's called the Confucius. Confucius. Oh my God, it's a very sacred part of this Grand Canyon. Anyway, it's believed to be over 6 billion years old. This very sacred land here, right? Um, this is where they see the Siba Mumi, right? So this place, right? This Functions place, this very sacred land, right? Um, this place itself has fossils of bipedal creatures. Anytime I hear bipedal creatures, there's two that pop up in my head, which is obviously the Bigfoot, but also the mantis. The mantis does have a somewhat similar head to, I guess, an ant, but at the same time, after today's videos with them saying and finding hieroglyphs of walking ant figures to standing upright, it makes me wonder what exactly they saw. And they were geographically dated to somewhere around or just over 1.5 billion years. They believe it's much older. The Hopi and all of them, the Denai and the Navajo, they say that it's even older than 6 billion years, but geographically, it's been tested and found. So there are findings, there are rocks, and there are fossils. And if there are actually bones that the Smithsonian has and ruins and artifacts from something older than Egyptian raw, but based out of Hopi and older tribes, then we need to compare them. We don't need to be denied access to that, because if this is believed to be older than Egyptian hieroglyphs, but the way it's said is similar, then we have to understand that due to translation and time and science and us getting better, we're going to have better translations. The more we progress, the more we get to test it, the more we get to unearth it. There is so much that we need to go back and rewrite, refigure. But there's so many people that aren't willing. They don't want to. They don't want to be wrong. Foolishly, people are being allowed to get away with it. Doesn't feel right. But yeah, there's be real footage of donkeys descending the north side and exiting the lower south. That would take months to descend. And there is film. There's B film. There's B real film of it. I watched some and some videos that I saw. And at the time when I saw these videos, which I have talked about them before, and since this is Tuesday, it's the videos that you guys have heard me refer to. They're called It's a Damn Shame. I've seen images of black and white, very early filming where you can hear it tick, 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 of donkeys, not horses, donkeys descending down from snow caps down. And then there's documents of the way that the heat changes, right? Like when you're starting and it's snow and it's coming down and the snow is melting and it's like 60 degrees at some point at most normal spots where you start your descend. They said that there's some places down there, depending on what part of the summer it is, that the temperature goes up to well over 115 degrees. But even with the numbers, in some of them areas, the area isn't big enough to hold enough substantial amount of heat to make the water evaporate in the time period of when Google and Google Maps and travelers and adventurers have mapped areas. So there is a lot of questions. If we know the truth about history, there's no more hiding. I agree with that. You've seen some of that footage? Oh, that's good. It's like the Catholic Church has a lot to do with the cover up. So I actually kept thinking at any moment in some of these videos, I'm going to hear something about the Vatican or something about the this or something about the that. And here's what I got: a whole shit fuck ton of Smithsonian. And then I tried to see where the Vatican and the Smithsonian cross paths. At some point, there's got to be some way, because there's no way neither one of them are a big enough entity. I could be completely wrong here, to house it. Now, I realized I've never been to the Smithsonian, and I hear that it's a bunch of museums, and I do mean a bunch. Now, if there's anyone in the area or anyone that's ever been, you can absolutely put in the chat or in the comments or after the video, come to the comment section and you can absolutely tell me. So, because I'm very curious to know. I would love to know exactly how many there is. Now, obviously, I've seen movies where the night of the museum, where there's all these different buildings and all these different museums of historical facts, right? And then underground. Well, so much of that is movie, right? So, how much of that is actual real? That's what I want to know. I want to know why we're denied access. From what I gathered today, every bit of the canyon except for the Siba Mumi are native. Now, apparently, the Siba Mumi is where the original ant people lived, and that is the most sacred part, but it's not technically part of sacred because it's the middle triangle from where these three major huge tribes protect this center part that's just about 200 and something miles from bottom tip to the top of the triangle formation between these three tribes, if I'm understanding correctly. But I may be misunderstanding. And then there was this part about two planes. One started coming from the Pacific Northwest, and one was coming from somewhere in Mexico. And yet somehow they crashed right in the exact area of the sacred land place that is completely off limits to everyone in the entire world. The Catholic Church. Oh, well, of course, it's all part of the lies, the hidden parts. Oh, that's cool, Josh. Yeah, I know that. I know that we have not even probably a tenth. Excuse me, a tenth of the knowledge or um, historical documents that have been found and documented. So I don't know. Let's hope. Let's hope that turns around for us. Honestly. So as I was going through all of that, I was also looking at our handy dandy crime notebook here, and so I have an entry from Casey Kasem, right? So 12/2 of 25, we did a two-part thing on Casey Kasem, right? Somewhere at 2/7/25, I wrote, "The sun is rising." I'm not sure what that means. I have no idea why I would write this, but I need to remember 12/7/25. So, if anybody still wants me to pick that Casey Kasem back up, we will pick that back up. I definitely, like I said, we have got a lot of information and a bunch of missing people from the Grand Canyon. So I would like to finish the rest of the month out on open mics, just kind of looking at different missing people, different cases, different conspiracy theories on the Grand Canyon. So this is going to turn into a little bit of a series, but there is so much, guys. And I think we just need to start spotlighting some very curious parts that don't add up. And I don't know why they don't add up. But if we don't start trying to figure them out, we are going to lose documented history that we have right now that we don't even have access to. And by the time we get access to it, we're not going to remember it because we're not going to always remember all of this that was truly originally documented in 1851. Good God, 1851? I want to read it. I want to see more of that B-rail footage. It's out there. It needs to be released. We should have access to that. I don't always care about the bad guy. Sometimes I just want to know what the genuine, true, authentic history looks like. If we're all American mutts, then let us know more about our own history. We don't always, all of us, give a damn about lies and conspiracy until we can't even go to native sacred land without having a bunch of lies thrown in our face. If you want us to keep supporting you, government, then you need to give us access to sacred lands that us sacred individuals can use just like they were used for hundreds, thousands, millions, even billions of years. I feel it's greedy and it shouldn't be held away from us like that. I am more than willing to keep deep diving. I could literally see myself getting lost in this because I'm absolutely so ready to go pop a bag of popcorn and dive into more conspiracy yummies. Exactly. I agree. I agree. And I'm glad and documents have disappeared because they don't fit. Exactly. 100%. 100%. We can't even admit that maybe we screwed up translation from the beginning. And all we got to do is just say we were wrong and fix it. We can make it right. That's the part where I'm over here scratching my head going, we now have enough evidence. If this would be enough evidence in a court of law, they'd find me guilty because the evidence is there. Is it stacked against me? I don't know. But it's definitely enough to find me guilty. So why can't we have that same right? To make judgments based off of actual evidence and facts that we as the people found. These people were hired by the Smithsonian. They didn't work for the government. They didn't work for the Smithsonian. They didn't work for the Vatican. These were adventurers. These were people ahead of their times that were willing to leave family and children and homes and maybe even jobs to go on months and months of traveling, if not years, excavating, documenting, excruciating amounts of sleepless nights, probably pain. How many times do you think they probably got stung or bit by something venomous that we now know? How much of that we now know because of things like that we don't have access and documents to. I want all of it, not just the parts that they think are important. What's important to them is probably not even important to me. It's just about having the full access. Picking and choosing what we have access to is just like saying, I'm only going to follow this rule today because I don't want to follow the rest of them and I don't have to. That's what it feels like to me. Picking and choosing the laws and the rules they can, will, and want to follow. Oh my gosh, guys. The archaeology finding and documents have disappeared. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they definitely keep disappearing. All right, let's keep on trucking, guys. Whew, I am literally going to go pop some popcorn and I'm going to get back into this. There is a lot going on. I am going to get a list, and I do have 6 pages of goodies, but I do want to now place the information into usable and verified. I don't know how much is going to be able to be verified outside of missing persons because there's going to be actual police reports or missing people reports hopefully filed. But I'm going to finish the day with conspiracy and just taking down a few more pages probably of notes. And then I will jump into the missing And you know what? We'll just look at it in the same years, right? So that we stay in a designated area. We will stay with missing from the 1951 year on, because then that would keep us in trek line with G.E. Kincaid. And maybe there is parts of his team or um, groups of people that maybe may have been with him, that maybe might have not made it out of the canyon. Maybe yet there still remains to be found that would clear up a lot of indiscretions, lies, and mistruths. I want to go, I want to feel the energy of what that feels like. Something that is documented over 1 billion years old. That energy, that sacredness. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And I don't want it tainted or blurred with the lies. I'd rather have the truth, no matter how bad it is or how horrible it is. I'd rather have the truth. At least I can make my own judgment and my own decisions based off of facts instead of half lies and fabulous created stories and half truths. So I don't know. Onward we go. I wonder if these are books written. I found a random book in a town I was. Ooh. I bet that is awesome. He just wants to go outside to go. Yes, G.E. Kincaid. If you find him, you're gonna probably find a lot of ties to Smithsonian and also Professor S.A. Jordan. Um, anything you find, even if it's just screenshots, please send it to me. Let me know. I would appreciate it. So, next Tuesday, we will pick this back up and we will see what we have found, what we think may be positive links. We will drop maybe some links, depending on the information that we find. Because, like I said, guys, we are not starting witch hunts. We are not starting any of our own conspiracy theories. We are just looking at ones that are already outrageously so far out there that it's time to start debunking them and finding out, just like this guy did when he risked everything just to find out that they were not submerged underwater. He was lied to, not just by the people that work there and the park rangers and the Grand Canyon employees. He was lied to all the way from the bottom to the top of the chain of command that he could reach out to for mapping, for graphing, for hiking, for routes. Everything that they told him, document after document. It's all underwater, it's all submerged. And then months and 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 months later, he finally got there. And it was so dry, so cracked. There hadn't been water there in a very long time. A very long time. The depth of lies. They fabricated documents to him and maps of imaging of tunnels that are underwater. Now, granted, he could probably find those underwater caverns and stuff if he wanted to dive it, but he's not that kind of adventurer. But he does know people who are. So, with him getting that kind of views, hopefully the right diver will also be curious enough to just see if they can find the location of where those image pictures were taken. Somebody took those pictures, unless, they're wonderfully staged pictures. Hollywood can create some pretty realistic shit, and NASA and a few other places. So, like I said, I'm just a person who talks to ghosts, so don't pay no attention to what I have to say. All right. For those of you that are going to jump out on this wonderful ride we're about to go on, just for some fun content on my channel for conspiracy, we are starting in the Grand Canyon, and for the remaining of January, we're going to have some fun, and then we are going to jump back into it in February with getting back out there and hunting the missing. I'm just taking some time for private clients to finish out the rest of this month, and then we will jump back into wondering where those bad guys are, and we will find those bad guys where they are at. Until then, and until tomorrow, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow for Saturday or for whatever day of the week it is. They run together. Where are we at? Ooh, today's Tuesday. Wednesday. Wednesday's windows. Wednesday's windows into the subconscious. Tomorrow, I will see you for shadow work, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Mouthful. Good night, and God bless you.